welcome back to All Things Lord of the Rings with your host Alex, also known as Solanus Dracone. Last week, Turin, having been shim-shammed by the dragon's spell and sent out of the now-conquered city of Nargothrond, found that his mother and sister had left Dor Lomin a long time ago, and so he ran off to seek out Findulas, Gwyndor's old flame. He found her ass dead, and decided that he was done with the world, really and truly done, and took up with the men of Brethil, at a fort called Ethel Brandir, which was led by a man named Brandir. At the same time, Morwen and Nienor both went to ruined Nargothrond to try and find any real word or trace of Turin's actual whereabouts. Morwen went lost and unaccounted for, and Nienor got so thoroughly mind-raped by Glaurung that she ran off naked into the wilderness. That's where we left off. So after running off, Nienor went pretty much balls out until she passed out. When she came around, it was like waking up for the first time ever. Her mind was a blank slate, clean, and so the entire world was new and wonderful to her. The only thing that seemed to stick around in her head was some sort of nameless darkness chasing after her, a shadow of fear that kept her moving. Eventually, she came to Howden Eleth, just as there so happened to be another great storm of lightning and destiny going on. She passed out from the cold, and it was on the burial mound of Findulas that Turin found her, lit up by the flashes from the storm. He and the men of Brethil took her back to a little hideout they had stashed away, and when she came to once more, seeing Turin, she felt a great comfort. This person, it seemed to her childlike mind, was someone she was seeking. Naturally, she wanted to stick by him pretty hard, but whenever he tried to ask her perfectly reasonable questions like, "Who are you?" and "Where did you come from?" she would just sort of cry. Turin took pity on her, seeing that she was in no state to hold a conversation, and was all, "All right, okay, don't worry, we don't have to talk about it right now. I'm going to give you a name, because this is bloody Turin and he loves to name nouns. Your name will be Niniel, the Tear Maiden." And so she was known. So Turin brought her to Ethel Brandir, where she was sick with a fever for a while, but the women and Brandir there healed her up and taught her how to speak again, because, again, her mind was wiped back to being a toddler. It didn't take long for her to get healthy and get back up to speed with the whole talking thing again, but she still couldn't remember anything before they found her. Also, Brandir had fallen in love with her, but she was completely in love with Turin. That's right, folks, you think George R.R. Martin was the first person to put incest in a fantasy book? Please, he wasn't even the first one to kill Sean Bean. So yeah, things were peaceful for a while because the orcs had all been scared off from around that spot, and Turin, having no clue that this was his sister, asked for her hand in marriage. While she totes wanted to, Brandir had been kind of warning her off that sort of thing. Now it's true, Brandir would have preferred her for himself, but in this case he wasn't cock-blocking out of jealousy, but because he was seriously kind of weirded out by Turin and his dark destiny. He told her who Turin really was, because remember, he was going by Turimbar at that point, but she was like, "Lol, who dat?" 3 years after the sack of Nargothrond, Niniel finally said yes to Turin, and they had a great big happy wedding and all the people celebrated and blah blah blah. But then Glaurung decided it was time to get some more work done, and so he started sending out orcish raiding parties to go attack Brethil. Turin, bless his heart, had so badly wanted to sit this one out, because he was a married man now and he had promised Niniel he wouldn't go off fighting anymore. But shit was going south, and he was getting yelled at to help out, so he took up the black sword again and got to work. Naturally, Glaurung found out about this and was like, The next spring, Niniel got preggers. Less good was the news that Glaurung thought this was a great time to come out of Nargothrond. Naturally, the men of Brethil found out, and Turin being Turin, started pretty much taking over the military strategy, stepping all over Brandir's toes, and winning away the hearts of his people. Glaurung got up to the crossings of Teglin, and that's when people really started to crap themselves. Turin suggested that instead of trying to fight the dragon, that he and a select few people would go out and harass it, while everyone else should remain behind, but be ready to scatter, because if they lost, then Glaurung would definitely come and torch their homes, but he would then turn around and fuck off back to Nargothrond. He called for people to join up, but only one man stood, a bro named Dorlas, who had been around since they first found Turin back at Howden Eleth. Dorlas proceeded to shit-talk Brandir and call everyone else cowards, and sure enough, a lot of them turned on the poor old dude. Naturally, this made Brandir a little salty. One other bro, Hunthor, who was related to Brandir, stood up and heeded the call. So Turin said goodbye to Niniel and set off with his crew to go what needest be done. Glaurung had hunkered down by a waterfall called Dimrost, also known as Nengirith, and this was where our lads were headed. When they got nearby, they saw where the dragon was hanging out, kind of hung out over the river next to the waterfall. Turin and his homies planned to cross the river and try to come on Glaurung from underneath while he was sleeping, and the waterfall would drown out any sounds they made. At the last minute, Dorlas, of all people, bitched out and refused to go across. While all this was happening, back at the homestead, Niniel decided she didn't want to wait around just to hear about how her husband was dead, so she gathered up her own big group of people, despite Brandir telling them all that this was a massively big idea, and they all set off afterward. That was the last straw for Brandir, so he was like, fuck it, fuck the lordship, fuck these people. He had only one thing left in this world to live for at this point, and it was his love of Niniel. So he put on a sword and set out after them, unable to keep up because he had a bum leg. And that's a good place to cut it for today. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you like my work and want to help me out, please do not forget to like, leave a comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of new content. Also, anyone watching through social media such as 9gag, I appreciate the comments and upvotes, but y'all are doing me a lot more help by going to youtube.com/SolinusDracone and interacting with me there. Once again, I am Alex, also known as Solinus Dracone, and this has been All Things Lord of the Rings. Goodbye.